A very warm welcome to the Von Alm Cocoa Talk, where we discuss futures markets, supply and demand, cocoa, chocolate, industry talks, and of course, sustainability. And today we have a very fine guest who is doing market research on the cocoa market and is giving us an outlook on it. San is back on the stage. Has been a while. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Kiral, for having me back on the show. I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, nice to see you again. And you brought us a gift, right? I guess it's cocoa beans, right?
Of course, the cocoa beans.
And where are they from?
These are from Latin America.
So the big ones.
Yes, the big ones.
Nice. And we've got a guest today as well, right?
Yes, we have a very special guest today from Rabobank London, Mr. Andrew Rawlings. So let's hear it from Mr. Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, hope you're doing good. Maybe you can help us introduce yourself to our audience.
Thanks, Gerald. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. My name's Andrew Rawlings. I'm a commodities analyst with Rabobank in London, and I focus on cocoa and cod markets. I'm here today to talk about cocoa markets, what we're seeing in the market and what we see going forward.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for the wonderful introduction. So moving forward, let's take a look what's cooking in the commodity market, especially cocoa.
Well, before we jump into that, let's just take a bit of a commodity market overview. There's quite a few macroeconomic trends in the market at the moment, and it's important to discuss those before we jump into what's happening in cocoa. So let's just take a look at the big picture. So over the last 12 months or so, we've had pretty significant increases in commodity prices, not so much in cocoa, but definitely in other softs such as sugar and veg oils and grains and oilseeds. Now, is it inflationary? Is it a just demand shock? Is if we look at the 12-month picture, does that really tell the whole story? Well, not really. If we expand that view to about 3 years, we have quite a similar change in price, a bit more variation. But if we keep going out 5 to 10 years and look at the price changes, especially on the 10-year cycles from about 2011 to about 2021, we actually see the majority of commodity prices at lower levels than they were. So is this disinflationary? Is it inflationary? While the broad answer is no, it's just to say that commodity prices can be extremely volatile. Over the last few years, we definitely had depressed prices, and now we're seeing a rise out of those levels. And there is inflation at the moment in the broader market, which is driving some of those increases. We have a lot of kind of pent up demand from COVID-19, and we're seeing that come to market with higher prices. Another factor driving higher prices is, of course, monetary stimulus that we've seen in the market as a result of COVID-19. So all these factors together are helping to drive prices higher. It's not necessarily just inflation. There are some cyclical factors there too. If we keep looking just as commodities as a whole, we've also seen a great amount of fund interest in commodities and commodity indexes. And we're actually seeing non-commercial volumes at similar levels when they were at the peak in 2011. So that's quite interesting. That's definitely helping to fuel higher prices as well. And of course, with all agricultural commodities, the weather plays a major factor. And this definitely shows some of the picture for why cocoa prices haven't seen the rises, whereas grains and oilseeds definitely have. And the main reason for this is that we had a La Nina last year, and that resulted in some very good weather for cocoa crops in West Africa, and at the same time very bad weather for the grain and oilseed crops in the US. So that kind of partially explains some of the reason these two we've had a great price rise in grains and oilseeds, but haven't really had it in cocoa. And of course, we've higher prices aren't just associated with commodities. We're also seeing them in shipping costs as well, with disruption and delays, and that helps to fuel volatility and fuel price rises across commodities.
So whole commodity market went up recently. Reasons for that, kind of a mixed bag. Inflation, demand recovery, funds are back in the market as well. So, okay, I think I got it.
Exactly.
And cyclic, sorry, also cyclic, very
Of
important.
course, yes. Andrew, maybe you can specifically guide us through the cocoa market.
Well, we actually, over the last 12 months or so, we've actually seen some interesting price movements. Up until about December, there was quite a bit of volatility, price spikes around expiry, and then things started to cool off kind of after December, and prices have been trending quite just kind of lower as more and more of the crops came in from West Africa, and we're actually seeing a very large surplus in the market at the moment. By our own estimates, it's just kind of under 200,000 tons, and that's due to extremely good crops in Ivory Coast and Ghana as a result of mild weather, as I said earlier, due to the La Nina. We also seen differentials trade a bit lower and a bit more pressure for those countries to kind of accept lower differentials given the large supply of beans they had and the necessity to sell those beans. So it's all kind of been building and adding pressure to price. Demand was also obviously impacted from COVID-19. Although we are now seeing a recovery, we kind of expect Q2 grindings when they come out very soon to be reasonably good compared to 2019, either similar levels or slowing a slight increase, especially for Asian markets. We do expect the Asia grind figure to show an increase from 2019 levels, which is very positive for the region, indeed, in terms of demand. Another factor affecting price is the very large stock levels we're seeing in the US. In fact, levels are back towards 2017 levels, and they would normally begin to show declines now on a kind of seasonal basis, but we're yet to kind of see that. We've seen it kind of started a bit around this level, above 5.5 million bags. But interestingly, it just keeps going up. So the beans keep flowing, there's still more beans to show up in the market, and we are nearing the end of the harvest, but the flows of beans do keep coming. So it's definitely been a very good year for production. Another interesting factor for cocoa prices is that funds have not been particularly interested in trading or speculating in cocoa as much as they would traditionally, with non-commercial net volumes much lower than average. This, in our minds, can be a factor on why kind of prices have trended lower. That commercial interest can help kind of lift prices, or at least keep price floor higher. So at the moment, the funds, the money managers, and the non-commercials, they're holding a small short position in New York and London cocoa, and they would normally, on average, hold a small long position. So it's all kind of been building to kind of allow prices to trend lower. At least that's the story so far.
So the whole commodity market went up, but cocoa is different. So relative to the others, it hasn't seen such a price hike. Main reason for that, much more supply, like La Nina, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and moving forward, what's your outlook on the price? I mean, short term, medium term, long term. Any view on that?
So how might that impact price going forward? Well, at the moment, we are still experiencing a very large surplus in the market, and that's probably going to take a bit of time to clear. So I'd say short-term outlook, fairly neutral. But as we begin to move into next season, could see scope for prices to rise, and we kind of feel that risks skewed to the upside into next season. It will, of course, take a bit of time to kind of clear the surplus in the market, so our short-term outlook is fairly neutral. We are still seeing beans flow when the flow of beans would normally be much slower. So there is, the supply out of West Africa for this season does continue to surprise. So we're kind of waiting for a sign that this supply from the current season is beginning to slow or beginning to dry up. and then our attention will move towards the outlook for next season. The recovery from COVID is also a major factor. The Asia region seems to be doing very well on that side. Europe and North America do seem to be making headway with vaccine rollouts. However, there are still delays and possibility for further delays. So nothing is certain. But if we take a longer term view, things do trend. If we take a long term view, we are seeing those trends kind of develop, and there seems to be a bit more upside potential, at least for the recovery in demand. So that's where our focus is lying at the moment, given that short-term events are much harder to predict.
Okay, got it. Sideways in the short term, but in the medium to long term, or especially in the next cocoa season, there is some upside potential, more demand and less supply, I guess, in a nutshell.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the wonderful insight.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure for us to have you here.
Thanks very much, Joe. Thanks very much, Sunny. It's been a pleasure to be here. Look forward to doing another one of these talks with you again soon. Thanks very much.
That's it.
I think so.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed our show today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.